it's really about. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. A couple of quick things I want to get to that I saw in the media, that I saw in the news, that I want to get a roundtable discussion on. First thing I want to get to is everybody's third or fourth favorite member of the Wu-Tang Clan, the RZA. Said third or fourth because most people like Meth, most people like Ghost, most people like Raekwon. It's about 4 or 5 dudes in the Wu before you get to the RZA, even though he's the brain of the RZA. He's the brain of the Wu. But the RZA, this week, I'm getting this from the Huffington Post, but it's all over the internet. He said that black men, or more black men, I should say, should clean up. And he also said all lives matter. Obviously, he's not a stranger to speaking out on social issues. He basically said, of course, black lives matter, all lives matter. He's talking about how he changed his eating habits and all of that kind of stuff. But he went on and on and on until he got to the point that a lot of folks are having some issues with. He said, quote, "If I'm a cop and every time I see a young black youth, whether I watch them on TV, movies, or just see them hanging out, and they're not looking properly dressed, properly refined, carrying themselves, conducting himself proper hours of the day, things that a man does, you're going to have a certain fear and stereotype of them." He continues, "I tell my sons, if you're going somewhere and you don't have to wear a hoodie, we live in New York, so a hoodie, it's all good, but sometimes, button up your shirt, clean up, look like a young man. You're not a little kid." End quote. There's a lot to address there. And so, Didi, I want you up first. We're going to go around the room on this one because the RZA has taken on some criticism. Some folks are agreeing with him strongly. I saw a blog that Mr. 3375 showed me a couple of days ago where there was at least one brother who went in on the RZA pretty strong. I'll share how I feel about that as we continue through the segment. Didi, you up.
Yeah, I saw that blog that Jeff, put on the page. And like I said in my comment, without hearing the entire interview, you can't get the context of what he's saying. He was asked a question, and quite honestly, I understand what he was saying. He's trying to tell his sons, you need to be aware of how you're going to be perceived. It's like I tell my son. My son's not the biggest nerd I've ever met in my life. I love him to death. But, he's walking outside with his hoodie on his head and like, hey, it's dark. Where are you coming from? Looking like that. Don't do that. You don't know who you're going to walk to, who's going to assume the worst about you, knowing good and damn well he ain't going to crush a rape in a fruit fight. But I love him. He's a lover, not a fighter. But I get what he's saying, and he is somebody who can speak on this. He came from the bottom. But with that being said as well, he also knows how it feels for someone to look at him and assume the worst, as opposed to knowing what he's really about.
Big sis, jump in here. You heard the comments from the RZA. What do you think?
Well, like Didi said, we do need to hear the entire interview. Right. Just based on that little bit, I do agree that he may be just trying to teach his children to be aware. I don't think that it's necessary that we all watch what we wear to prevent ourselves, though, from being profiled. I just don't think that that's fair. But, we've got a caller, so I'm going to stop. Caller, this is SY. Who are you and where are you calling from? Caller, are you there? Can you hear me now?
Hey.
Hi.
Hey, this is Candace calling from Charlotte.
Hi, Candace. How are you?
I'm good.
Candace, what you calling about tonight?
Candace Washington.
Yes, I saw the post that you put on Facebook, so I was interested in what you guys were talking about.
Hey, I'm so happy that you called in. I recognize your voice. How you doing?
I'm good.
Candace, thank you for calling Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J. I am the Marcus J of the show, and you asked what we're talking about. We have kind of moved on to a piece where we're discussing the RZA, the rapper, the RZA of the Wu-Tang Clan, and he has some comments that have been somewhat controversial. I don't know if you have heard about them, but the gist of what he's saying is that if he, and I'm going to paraphrase his quote, if he was a cop and every time he saw a young black dude, whether he was watching them on TV, the movies, and they're not properly dressed, carrying themselves or conducting themselves a certain kind of way, that he himself would have fear and he would stereotype them, and he teaches his sons to conduct themselves a certain kind of way. That's kind of the gist of what he said, and that's where we're at now, Candace. I don't know if you've heard that quote, but if you have, comment. If you have not, kind of pick up on what I just kind of laid out for you. What's your thoughts?
Well, I kind of feel like, and I know Wu-Tang, I kind of feel like what he said was kind of accurate. When you kind of portray that image that you will be, looked upon by the opposite, in a negative spotlight, you know what I'm saying? So a lot of times that's how, these issues are happening.
Right.
So, yeah, I can totally agree with what he said. So, yeah.
Did you have anything that you heard earlier in the show that you wanted to comment on? We've got Shayna as well as Boss in the room. They can talk to you about anything that you want to talk about. Floor is yours.
No, I just actually got on the line, so I don't know what you guys discussed before
Okay.
I came on.
Okay. Well, keep on listening. The phones will continue to be open throughout the duration of the show. So if you hear anything else that you want to jump in on, the floor is open, the phone lines are open, and we welcome you to call us back.
Okay.
We appreciate it. Thank you, sister. Thank you for calling from the Queen City. We got love for y'all down there in Charlotte.
Thank you.
You got it. Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J. Let's kind of move this around. Shayna, you heard the RZA's comments. What's your thoughts?
Personally, I think that he was just trying to protect his own kids. Like, in this day and age, it's so sad that you have to tell your kids what to wear just so no one would target you.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's very sad.
It's very sad.
Because you should be able to wear whatever you want to wear and do,
Mm-hmm.
But in this day and age, you have to tell these young boys what to wear.
Give her a mic. Cass?
Yeah. Okay. So I would just say I agree. Like I understand what he's trying to say is protection because there's a lot of crazy stuff going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as the clothes, what to wear, everybody's individuals. Like they're gonna wear what they want to wear. People are gonna be who they want to be. It's just, I think you just protect yourself. Be smart about where you at. You know what I mean? Mind your business. Pay attention.
Protect your neck,
That's-
as
yeah,
he
that's
would
all
say
that's
in
true.
one of
They
his songs.
stereotype you, though. They stereotype you based on what you wear,
Yeah.
though.
Yeah,
It's
but
horrible.
you just gotta hold it down. Like you gotta do what you gotta do, man. Like you know what I mean?
I don't
understand
think
what
my
he's saying,
clothes
but-
should represent who I am.
Right.
If I like to wear hoodies, I like to wear hoodies. Maybe they're comfortable. Maybe I'm nice and warm in them. It doesn't mean anything other than that. Why do you have to perceive me to be something I'm not?
I like what he's saying, but then at the same time, I kind of disagree with him because, like everyone said here, we should be able to wear what we want to wear. Who is society to tell me that I'm a gangster because I decided to wear a hoodie or my hair wild?
Right.
And if we keep
I am
doing
who I
that,
am.
we're
you're
never
not
gonna
gonna
stop it.
that, but
That-
I shouldn't be profiled for, being who I want to be.
I think that's the problem, to be honest with you.
I think we
And
need to
it's-
step
but
out.
but
This-
but honestly, let's be real. Thank you.
What?
Everybody does that. It's not just a white thing.
Oh, it's
Black
true.
people do that too. So let's not sit here and act like we don't do that. I'm not gonna sit here and lie and say if I'm walking by myself and I see a group of dudes with their pants hanging down to that, their underwear showing, I am thinking negatively about them. First of all, you look stupid with your drawers showing.
I
First
hate
of all,
that.
That I do not.
And
like.
I'm assuming that because they dress like that, you know, they're following a fad or whatever. They want to be cool or whatever. And that could possibly be the case. Or I'm thinking, oh my God, I got to walk across the street just so I don't pass by them. We all do it. It is not just white people profiling us. We are profiling each other. We are. And
Because we were taught.
no, nobody taught me to profile anybody.
No,
That's
I disagree with that. I think you were taught. And
You were
I
taught.
think you were taught that.
We were taught to profile.
Not you as an individual,
Right.
but we
we
as a culture were culturally conditioned to believe that white is right, and the manifestation of that is to believe that whatever it is that we do is wrong.
True.
Now,
No,
there are certain things.
I don't agree with
Well,
that.
let me finish.
I don't agree
Let
with
me
that.
finish. There are certain things that are universally stupid, like sagging your pants off your ass.
Yes, Lord.
Is universally stupid.
Yeah.
I think we all know that sagging your pants is universally
It's
stupid.
stupid.
But there are other things that have become part of the negative stereotype of young black male attire that have become what I used to like to call, and I don't use this phrase anymore because I realized that I was feeding into the stereotype by using this phrase, but I'm going to use it to show the point of my own misconception, the uniform. The uniform being the jeans, whether they sag or not, the Timbs, the hoodie, the hat cocked to the side, certain things are part of the uniform. Young white boys dress the same way, but they're not treated the same way. We are trained, whether you agree with this or not, and we can debate that now or another time, but we are trained to see a black face with that attire and feel some kind of way when we see that black face. We don't have the same kind of instinct to be fearful when we see a white face dressed the exact same way. I'll give you another example. I saw a YouTube video of a white boy who was kicking it with his homie. In the video, he talked about how he was in the car with his homeboys. He was the only white boy in the car. There's 4 dudes in the car, 3 brothers and a white boy. They all rolling an L and they all puffing an L in the car. The cops pull him over. The cops go through the car. The cops see the weed. Everybody got it, but the cops took the brother to jail. Took the 3 brothers to jail and left the white boy. I mean, this is what happens. And so we all can be mindful of the uniform, and we should, because anytime you see someone who is conducting themselves negatively, we should be on alert.
Right.
But I don't know that I would use their attire for that, because you got a lot of punks as wannabes that watch Wu-Tang and
Right.
RZA, who him and his homies was the ones who was setting the whole they was setting the scene for how they was dressed. I mean, hey, look, these cats just a little bit older than me. I rock Timbs to this day. I don't sag my pants, but I rock Timbs and hoodies to this day at 41 years old. You know why? Because I'm more comfortable in that than I am in a shirt and tie.
And that's why
I don't like to wear a shirt
That's
and
why
tie.
I
That's not our
disagree with
clothing.
you
Shirt
as
and
far
tie ain't
as
us.
that's why I disagree
ahead,
with
Didi.
you as far as the outfit. I'm not talking about the stereotypical outfit because again, what does that mean? That means nothing. That's not what I'm talking about. What
Okay.
I'm talking about is when you see someone that you perceive is possibly a threat to you.
But
That
how
is
do-
black.
But how do you determine?
It's how he carries himself.
Right. But
any
how do you?
guy, how he
but
carries.
let me interview you. Let me interview now. How do you determine that perception? What is it that led you to believe
What-
or know or feel that there's something wrong with this black kid because you may feel a threat? What is
what
it about
I
him?
see, literally, what I see, and when he's walking towards me, the way he's carrying himself. If he's sashaying down the street, if he's talking loud, if he's cursing to his music in his ear.
You never been around a white boy that's cursing?
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about how we also do the same thing. We do the same thing.
But I think it's a fair,
You may not, but black people
But see,
do
I
it.
think it's a fair question because the way we are.
What's the question?
Well, the question is, why is there a difference between how we as black males are perceived versus how everybody else is perceived? Because the reality is, and come on, we all know the truth.
All right.
They pirate our shit. They always pirate our shit.
Let's-
They
let's-
stole rock and roll.
let's throw
They
something-
stole hip hop.
let's throw another-
They steal. Hold up. They steal everything from us,
land.
up to and including hip
My
hop
family
swag.
Native American. They took
So hip hop swag is what the RZA is talking about. He's talking about how you dress. White boys do the same way, do the same thing. And so take out the fact that we looking at a young brother. You see a white boy dressed the exact same way, you feel the same way?
Honestly,
Just
I'm
you.
getting out of his way because this dude has some issues. He wants to be
White or black?
black. And he
I'm asking-
thinks
no.
he's
My-
assuming.
my
oh, you talking
question-
about white?
my-
Yeah, white.
Okay.
I'm not fooling with no white dude that does that either. No.
Okay, cool. Well, see, now
I'm
now-
going by what
that's what I was
I
trying to get.
see. That's
And
what
that's-
I'm serious.
and that's what I'm trying to get.
I'm saying I'm going by what I see and how that person, as they're approaching me, is acting
And so
behaving.
that's all I'm looking for.
Yeah, that's all I'm doing.
That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the consistency. I'm looking for the consistency in what you're saying. Now that we're on the same page now. We're on the same page now. Kaz, you got the face on like you
I just had to-
disagree.
I was shaking my head because the question that you asked when she said, what did you say? You go by what you see, right? And he was saying,
I think Marcus was saying, in general,
The uniform.
the uniform,
uniform.
and I wasn't talking about uniform. I'm talking about
The black kid.
behavior that I see from that person, not just the way that they're dressed, but their behavior as well as they're approaching me or I'm approaching them. That's what makes me judge.
Does their color play into that?
Oh man, you know how many black dudes I see on the street on a daily basis that if somebody else saw them, they were like, "Oh, watch out for him." I speak to everybody I see. I'm trying to make you smile,
Right.
and you won't bother me. So
So the answer is no. Their color doesn't play into that.
No, it's not a color thing. What I was trying to say is it's not just white people that are profiling black people. We do it to ourselves as well. That's all I was saying.
That's the essence of what you're saying. I can dig
Yeah,
that.
that's all
because
I was saying.
I actually do agree with that. I disagree that we do it, but I agree that we do it. Cass?
no, I was just okay. I was just going back because it's gonna go against you, because he was saying, what do you look at, right? But it seems like you were saying, oh well, okay. You said with the black guy, right? If you were walking across the street or you was walking toward the side with the black guy and he had his pants or whatever, his clothes, however he had it, you said you would go across the street. But then you said if you saw the white guy, you wouldn't feel that way. And then... Okay, what I was just hearing was... right here? Okay, what I was just hearing was basically if it sounded like you was contradicting yourself. Like, that's what it sounded like to me. So I'm just saying, okay, if you saying, when he was saying no color, or he was saying, oh, what do you see? You were saying, okay, well, it's the black guy, you would cross the street. But then he said, well, if you see the white guy and he was wearing the same clothes, how would you feel? I wouldn't feel no kind of way. So I'm sitting here like, okay, well, she was saying no, but yeah, but...
Behavior. That's what I was trying to say. I was saying behavior, not color and not just the way you're dressed. It's your behavior. I'm going to do the same thing for a white guy that's walking to me trying to act hood or whatever it is that he's doing. I'm getting out of his way as well. I'm just not doing that. And it's not just black people, and it's not just the way you're dressed. It's your behavior. Like Marcus said, there's plenty of dudes out here dressing that way just because it's a fact. Exactly. They're not even about that. I'm not going to assume that just by what they have on. My assumptions start coming in based on how they're acting as they're approaching me.
Boss,
That's it.
Jump in here. Boss, what's your thoughts?
I know you were saying, Marcus, that you think that we were taught to be, to look at each other
Yes.
in certain ways, and I agree with you.
Yes.
I do know, and I've read certain documents that prove that, that we actually, profile each other, and we are profiled based off of, what we were taught. So I know, I don't believe anyone should judge me if I decide to come outside looking wild, looking crazy. I don't like wearing dress clothes sometimes, but sometimes I have to wear them because of the corporate world that we live in. You know, I don't feel like guys should wear ties and, you know, suits, you know, suffocating their necks and their bodies because, you know, it's just something we were taught. I think we should go back to how we used to be, for real. But that's just, you know.
I hate a tie. I absolutely despise wearing ties. And the only time I wear a tie is if I absolutely have to, because it's something based on where I'm going that, you know, that I have no choice. But I ain't wearing no tie unless I have to, and if I got a choice, I ain't wearing no tie. I ain't gonna purposely choke myself. And the reality is, you know, that is a fashion that is not indigenous to us as Africans anyway. We didn't choke ourselves in our attire, and so, you know, socially it's something that is required because we do live in the Western world, and you know, we can talk that African socially conscious stuff all we want, but when you live in America, if you live in Europe, if you live in certain parts of the world, you got to wear a tie sometimes. I just choose not to all the time. Big Sis, I want you to jump in here. The RZA said that he teaches his sons to pull their pants up and quit looking like thugs. My words, but that's the gist of what he was saying. What's your thoughts when you hear those comments? Do you think that we, are, as black people, are taught to be leery of our own? Was I off base when I made that statement? Do you think that that's a fair thing that the RZA said? Jump in here.
You know, I commend him for telling his children to keep your pants up, wear a belt, and, you know, look neat. I appreciate that. That's good. You know, we all should look neat every once in a while when we go out and we do things. I don't believe that we should dress a certain way just so that we're not profiled, however. Yeah, I do believe that we are taught to profile. You've got all sorts of media going around, putting stuff out, saying things. You've got people that you hang out with that say things. You know, things are catchy, and you do it whether you realize you're doing it or not. So, yeah, we are taught, and it's really a shame because if we just don't teach the proper way to dress, if we just don't teach, you know, the proper way to act, if you don't show by example, then of course they're going to go haywire. But now what it sounds like to me almost is that, you know, don't do this because you're going to be profiled as that, and then the next person will teach that to their kid, and the next person will teach that to their kid, and we'll forever be looked at profiled. It's got to stop somewhere. If we just start, you know, I don't want to see your BVDs. I don't care about them or anything. I don't want to see your butt crack or none of that. So it's good to say, you know, pull your pants up. It's neat to pull your pants up. I just don't even know where the crap came from. But we do. I mean, I do, but you know, it's just so damn dumb, y'all. Who wants to look or act like a freaking prisoner? Where's your brain?
You know, I the mentality, Shayna, of these young people is so twisted that I wonder sometimes if we'll ever reach them. And I'll give you an example before you make your comment. I got a young cousin who is in his early 20s now, 22, 3, something like that. And I remember asking him a couple years ago why he sagged his pants. And he was like, "'Cause it's cool." And I asked him, I said, "What do you mean it's cool?" He's like, "Nah, it's, you know, it's what we do." And so I proceeded to give him the history of it, talk to him about the prison culture and all that kind of stuff. And he said, "I knew all of that. And because I know him, and because he's in my bloodline, I know his mother, and I know she taught him that, so I know he knew." Mm-hmm. And you know what he said? He didn't care.
He didn't care.
He didn't care.
That's too bad.
He knew the history, and he knew that it made him the girl, even though he's a very strong heterosexual male. But he knew that made him the girl. And he didn't care. That's what we dealing with.
Is that like butt air conditioning?
That's what we dealing with. That's what we up against.
Kind of shied away from it a little bit.
And so what's your thoughts on this before Shana jump in here? We're gonna miss 3375. We'll get the last word before we get to our last point in this segment. What's your thoughts?
I don't think that. I think that he was just teaching his kids, survival mechanisms right now, because obviously they're just targeting kids that. I mean, look at Trayvon Martin. He was just a kid with a hoodie on, carrying a can of soda. Mm-hmm. So, I don't think he was trying to be sideways to society, or the RZA wasn't trying to be, he was just teaching his boys survival mechanisms right now. At this point, it's just about survival. That's how I feel.
Mr. 3375, we've had a lot of comments, and I want the listeners to know that you here, but you working.
Yeah,
that's the reason why you ain't been on the mic as prominently as you normally are. But you in here working. We ain't got to tell them what you're doing, but you in here producing the show and making sure that what we doing is long documented. And so I want folks to know that you here and you working.
Right.
That's why we ain't heard much from you. But I want your opinion on this because we talking about this because of you.
Right.
So what's your thoughts?
My thoughts, I always believe you can't judge a book by its cover. I get the whole, kids want to dress the way they want to dress. But I think it all also go back to the home. You really have to teach your child, this is not the way to be. Like, my kid would not ever wear his pants hanging off his butt. It's just not going to happen. And he's 4. You know what I'm saying? He's 4. It is never going to happen. So you have to teach them because they are getting profiled. And I get the whole, we should wear what we want to wear and all that. And I get that and I understand it. And I think that's true. But we are getting profiled. And it's dangerous for our children. So what are you going to do at the end of the day? You're going to teach your child how to dress properly and be respectful to himself, or do you want him to get profiled his whole life? So it's a decision that you have to make as a parent.
Right. No, I can dig that, and I think that's fair. I think the balance, and it's a very difficult balance.
Everything is about balance.
But the balance is to make sure that your child knows about how he or she is going to be perceived, but also make sure that your child knows that he or she got a right to be who they want to be. Almost said something. No, they got the right to be who they going to be. Now, I'm going to be real personal with it. I grew up in the hood. I wasn't hood. I grew up in the hood,
Same here.
but I wasn't hood. I grew up in the hood where I had cats in my neighborhood who came from multiple generational single parent homes.
Right.
I grew up with cats that ain't here no more because they took one to the dome.
Right.
I grew up with James Evans, and James Evans wasn't going for it.
Right.
And so even though I grew up in the hood, I ain't hood. But I have certain aspects about me that's how I roll. So I'm comfortable with Tim's. They comfortable to me.
Right.
I like to rock my Tim's.
Right.
I like to wear a hoodie because I remember standing on the corner of Claremont Avenue and Ocean Avenue in Jersey City, New Jersey, waiting on the bus when the bus would come, and it would be so cold because it ain't your bus that you had to put the hoodie on and hold yourself like this when that wind would hit you and it ain't your bus. You like, oh, and then you got to wait for the next bus.
What about the train?
And the train too.
The train.
You know what I mean? So I'm clowning to make the point of you can rock what you want to rock.
Right.
And I ain't going to walk around scared to be who I am because the world say that I'm wrong.
Right.
I ain't doing that. I ain't built like that. I'm not doing that. But the balance is
The mindset.
but the balance is you got to make sure that you keep yourself safe.
Right.
Because sometimes being you is a threat to them.
Right.
Yeah.
And they don't like you being you. So you got to figure out how you can be you and stay alive.
Oh yeah.
And that's the sad and scary part of all this. Miss 3375, you got some social media hits here, man?
Yeah, I got a question. Tori wants to throw out at the group.
Tori?
She said she would like to know how they feel about people with tattoos and piercing. Do they get stereotyped the same way as hoodies and baggy pants?
They get stereotyped the same way.
Well, absolutely. I have some punk rock friends, and they happen to be white. Piercings, tattoos, all that. And they get stereotyped the same exact way.
Right.
That they're going to rob something, steal something, be belligerent, just
I don't think
shoot
that
up
it's the same,
somebody.
though, because I think that white privilege is so real in this country and in this world that you can be a punk rock white dude with tattoos and piercings,
and be a doctor.
and you can be all right, but if you a regular black dude, you a threat.
That's
and
what
I know there's a lot of black folk and a lot of white folk who disagree with that, and that's fine. It's your opinion. Hey,
True.
that's your opinion. But my opinion is, if you white, you right. Your
Right.
ice is colder
Right.
than mine is.
And that's what
And
I
I'm
was.
speaking in hyperbole,
That's
but
a
there's a
fact,
lot of people
though.
who
Yeah.
feel that
That's
way.
a fact. That's not
That's
an
what I was
opinion.
getting ready to
That's a fact.
say.
We know.
Like my regional, where I work at, my regional manager, tattooed down, pierced. This man making $100,000 plus a year.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
it's okay.
Don't you do it.
I'm not gonna
You're
do
not
it.
even getting
But you
hired.
You know what I'm
can't.
saying? Yeah.
You're not even getting hired.
Yeah.
You might have a trouble with the bald head because that's some really,
Exactly.
really, like real talk.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because, I had this conversation with white people. And, when we talk about, mostly in social media, because they won't call in the show, they scared. 804-402-2893
Tori.
is where they can call up.
Tori.
But, it's cool. I had this conversation with white folk, mostly in blogs that are not mine, because I know a lot of the white folks that I know listen to the show and they hear me now. And they also are looking at me in social media. I know because some of them have deleted me and some of them have not. And I know that they see what I post because they'll click on the like button when I post a picture of my daughter. So when I'm talking about white supremacy, they see that shit too. But anyway,
Oh yeah.
but
yeah.
anyway,
But they can't address that.
they don't want to talk
You
about
know.
that. But they don't want to talk about that because I think people are afraid to talk about what they don't know, and what they don't know is what we deal with. The truth of the matter is, come on, man. If you don't understand, ask questions. If you don't know, ask questions. Don't tell me that I'm overreacting about some stuff and you ain't never walked a step in my shoes. I mean, come on, man. We live in a country that sends $3 billion every single year to Israel, and we don't ask for no receipt. We don't want to know what they're doing with it or nothing. But if a black person even suggests the fact that we deserve reparations in this country, we ain't do shit to Israel. The Germans did that. They need to be the ones paying $3 billion, but we pay it. And all we do is ask about reparations, and they call us race baiters. They say that
Get over it.
get over
Yeah,
it.
stop it.
You know,
That didn't happen to you.
we gotta see all of these memes and hear all of this stuff about never forget 9/11 and all that kind of stuff. 2,000, 3,000 people died, which is really sad. But we don't want to talk about we don't talk about the whole thing about us coming here in slavery because we need to get over it.
Exactly.
And so my point in bringing that up is, if you ain't never understood, then you can't tell me that there's something wrong with my thought process. And yeah, I feel some kind of way. I'm mad. I'm real mad.
And you should be.
I stay mad.
Right.
You know what I mean? And this is the platform for me and y'all and us to talk about how mad we are. But the key is what we're going to do. What we going to do?
Nothing by ourselves. We've all got to get. We've all have
Well,
to.
every single
pull
week,
it
I talk
together.
about group economics every single
Yes,
week.
you do.
Every single week. But you know what group economics is? That freaking lottery that we just had. $1.3 billion, people putting money into it. And guess what? One person or three or five. That
big-
shit, man.
the
After
big
all of this
giant
time, ain't nobody
That's
hit. So
really
there's no
crazy.
reason to think that it's going to be more than one person that's going to hit. One person's going to hit for
That's
One
exactly what I was
$1.3
saying
billion.
earlier today.
And-
I was
and that's
like,
gonna
it's
be it.
definitely going to be about
If we
15 to
could start
20
our own
people.
lottery
That's
But
gonna
I don't
hit
even know
this.
that it's going to be. It's been all of this time and ain't
That many
nobody
people
hit.
not
So when
gonna
somebody
hit.
hits,
It might
but that's
just be one person.
but that's the essence of what group economics is.
Nobody got nobody.
Yeah, I
got
just
them numbers.
I just can't believe it's going to be one person. person.
But
No, it's gonna be a group of
even
coworkers
beyond
in
that,
Oregon.
because see this, like I didn't make that point to talk about the lottery. I made that point to show that if we feel like we gonna get something, we gonna put our money up.
Yeah.
We ain't gonna put our money
Right.
up to help each other out. We gonna put our money up because we think we gonna get something.
To
Right.
get something for yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How freaking selfish is that? And white folk ain't got nothing to do with that. That's all on us. Ain't no how to step on Marcus J. All right, I get on these rants and I get all passionate. I want to move on to one more thing before we get out of this segment because I'm getting a little fired up. Mr. 3375, I want to ask you about guns.
Okay.
The President of the United States, Barack Hussein Obama, has been a flashpoint for gun sales since he took office in January of 2009. Because he's the president, they can say what they want, but the NRA and the gun dealers are happy as hell that we got a black president, because you got a whole bunch of white folk who get to come out their shell. They get to go to these rallies with Donald Trump where he kicking out Jews and Muslims just for being there. And he's riling up white folk who want to be their racist selves just for the sake of being that way. And they can be that way now because they got a candidate that allows them to be that way. Right?
Right.
I went in a bunch of places, but I needed to kind of get that commentary out. But to go back to my original point, the president came out last week and said that he just wants to have universal checks on guns. You get a gun from a gun show, you should be subjected to the same checks as you are if you get a gun from a gun shop.
Right.
And he's going to hire, I think the number was like 200 more agents to go through the checks, because there have been so many checks and a lot of them, they like rape kits that don't get checked because they ain't got enough people to do it.
Right.
More commentary that ain't got nothing to do with what we talking about, but I wanted
Right.
to get that out. What's your thoughts on this whole gun debate? Second Amendment, we know that some folks have issues with how it's being dealt
Right.
with. What's your thoughts, man?
My thoughts first. I'm the type of person. I'm one of them people that doesn't believe in guns, but at the same time, I think they should do the same background checks as the gun shops. I mean, somewhere is they dropping the ball somewhere. And with that being said, even though I don't believe in guns, I'm at the gun range now because I feel I have to protect myself.
You have to be.
You know, I really have to protect myself. I'm at the gun range now. Like, yeah, if you cop pull out on me, it's gonna be some issues. You know what I'm saying?
Go at it.
You know, so, but I think they should do the same background checks that they do at the gun shops, at the gun shows. I mean, I agree with them with that. Being a person that's not an Obama fan.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
I seen a little bit of what Obama was saying. He was crying on TV, right? And because it was one of his friends or family that had got killed.
No.
was
He got emotional when he was talking about what happened in Newtown, Connecticut, where it was 20 little kids who were killed by the young white boy who stole his mama's gun, killed his mama. She taught him how to shoot. He killed his mama and then went to the school, killed all of the little kids, like 20 little kids. And then when the police closed in on him, he killed himself. And where the president got emotional, he was thinking about the deaths of those little kids.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Now, you had a lot of people who had issues with that. They thought it was fake. But I think, and it's just my opinion, one man's opinion, who I'm more wrong than I'm right. But if we question any man or woman who cries over the death of little children,
Right.
that says more about you
Right.
Yeah.
than it says about them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's
Definitely
simple.
agree.
Shayna, jump in here. Guns. What's your thoughts?
Well, it's kind of crazy because I was taught how to shoot at a young age. My dad's in the military. We learned how to shoot when we were younger. It was part of growing up. When we go to the country, we would shoot every day. Right now, I own an AR-15. I got a 9 and a 45.
Good girl.
But I love to shoot, and I was always taught to respect it. It's always been, for me, a sport. They have shooting in the Olympics. I love it. It's great. And now, people intertwine emotions and all kinds of extra things with guns and get emotional and start shooting each other, using it as weapons of mass destruction. I don't agree with that.
I got something to say about it.
Go ahead.
I kind of disagree with the president. Once again, I hate to be the one to always disagree, but I look at things kind of both sides. Here you have people who have been wrongfully convicted of crimes, and they have backgrounds of which, you know, would just indicate, oh, this person can't be trusted. Now you're saying this person can't own a gun to protect themselves or their family because they have a background that really doesn't even fit their description. You know, so in those cases, I think, you know, it's kind of like, you know, you kind of messing some people up from having that kind of protection, you know.
Well, I guess my response to that is what he's seeking to do and what the NRA and others in NRA, I mean, I am a member of the NRA. Most people don't know that. Too. Yeah, I'm a member of the NRA. You know, I joined it and I got my reasons for it, which I'll share with you guys if you want to know. But, you know, the lobby is real strong, but the truth is the lobby is false because they got folks believing that he wants to take your guns. He ain't never said he wants to take your guns. Right. You know what he said? He said that if you buy a gun from a gun show, you should have to have the same checks that you get if you buy a gun from a gun shop. Yeah. And we need to hire more people to check your background. Right. That's it. Really, that's it. And the truth is,
really it's no difference.
Of course, it's no difference. It's no difference. And the you know, the truth is, man, they like to twist this stuff up, man. Yep. To make it seem like he said or did anything that's any different from anybody else. I mean, the truth is, you know, the Second Amendment is there. It's valid. We understand it. It's not going anywhere. He ain't trying to take your guns. This is the same dude who you think is going to take guns from 65 million residences in the world. Now, how's that going to happen? Like, for real?
It can't happen.
Like, for real? He want to come and take your guns?
Unless you decide to go under everyone's bed, everyone's closet, everyone's...
He doesn't want to do it, and even if he wanted to do it, it's not physically possible. True. And that's my problem with partisan politics, because it's almost like religion. It's like intelligent people become stupid people. Like, intelligent people become stupid people.
That cannot happen.
And, you know, I don't want to be disrespectful to religious people. I almost said something. I'll save that for another time. But intelligent people become stupid people when we talk about partisan politics and religion. What you saying back there, Didi? You
next week when the peoples get here.
Israelites. Oh, I would love to be here. Come back with you guys.
We're not gonna be disrespectful, so y'all be cool. We're not gonna be disrespectful.
It's a wonderful conversation. I had a ball with them. I did.
You know, have you heard any feedback from anybody about Virginia? I think, is it this year or next year when they're going to start not
next
letting
month,
people next month,
February 1st,
come in that have licenses?
There are certain states, and I don't know them, so if you're listening, check my facts. But the reciprocity for carrying has been removed from certain states in the country because it was like 25 states because their laws weren't as strong as ours.
All we're the only reason that's a money thing. As simple as that. That's a money thing. I'm not even falling for the...
Tell me how that's a money thing. I don't see the money thing angle.
Do you have to pay to have a license?
Yes.
Thank you. There it is.
But you're paying to get your license where you are.
Yes. Virginia does not do reciprocity for a lot of things where you have to be certified. I'm a certified mediator. It will go nowhere besides Virginia. It doesn't matter anywhere.
But there's loopholes
pass
to it.
the bar in another state, Virginia does not recognize that you are barred in another state. You still have to pass the bar in Virginia. It's a money thing. I personally think it's a money thing.
So you're saying that if I live in Detroit and I want to come here with my weapon,
law,
I got to get a license to carry in the state of Virginia.
Exactly. And you have to pay a fee to do that? Thank you.
It could be a money thing, but I also think that there is some issues with regards to.
It's also a PR thing.
Well, we also
Virginia Tech.
We also have a Democratic president right now. I'm sorry, a Democratic governor right now, and I think that gun control is a Democratic issue.
Yes.
So.
My thing with it is they are misinterpreting the Second Amendment. It does not say you have an indelible right to carry arms. What it says is the right to carry arms has something to do with the fact that back in colonial times, we were at war with England, and they were trying to protect their homes to prevent King George from sending people over here to just bust up in their house and say, boom, boom, boom,
Yep.
you said this, guess what? Your ass is out of here for
Totally
treason,
agree.
whatever.
Yep.
That's what the Second Amendment is about.
Because we ain't had no damn police at the time.
We had nothing. We were a colonial nation. They use it the wrong way.
Yeah.
Also, people want to purchase these assault rifles at gun shows. There's no, who's tracking that? Who
Well,
tracks that?
That's kind of the whole point of him trying to get it.
Exactly.
Get the
They
checking
they
done
go to a
better.
gun shop. Somebody's tracking that.
Yeah.
What do you need an assault rifle for in the state of Virginia? Really?
You don't. Ain't no
I
house.
Really?
own one.
But do you also have a hunting license?
No,
Again, what do you need it for?
I just enjoy doing
Exactly.
it.
They just want to have it,
Yeah.
and they're afraid it's going to be that is going to be taken away from them.
Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Live from the Den, Legacy Internet Radio. We are going to take